All right, let's get this started here. It's going to say that we're not on, but we'll actually be on because it's Facebook.
Okay, I'm following you, Ryan. What
Follow
you
me.
say, buddy?
Yeah,
I'm with
follow
you.
me. Follow me. Follow me. It's your doom. Follow me.
Before we get going, I got to say he runs a great business. I've been all over the country.
Wait a minute, I want to get that recorded.
And your passion, no, buddy, I've said this to you before. I said it last time I was here too. Your passion and love and the way he runs his store is so many steps above everybody else in the country. You're actually very lucky to have him and to be able to have these experiences and all the work that you do, buddy. Really well done, Ryan, and very unique.
Thank you very much. And as you know, this goes directly to my wife's phone. So she heard that too.
Good.
Good. She doesn't believe a word of it. All right. All right, everybody. So we're all here today. And guess what? Today's Whiskey Wednesday.
Yay!
And we have a very special guest with us today. We have Jon Taffer, who is he's a lot nicer in person than he is on TV. It's so weird. How does that happen?
Well, first of all, the place isn't dirty. Right? Just
you should have seen it
around.
You seen it an hour ago, John. You should have seen it an hour ago. And listen, John's been here before. We wanted to have him back. He for some weird reason, he wanted to come back. And we wanted to see how something different. We had John here last time, which was more of a meet and greet.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to do something different for this time out. So we wanted to do a cocktail hour with Jon Taffer. So all in front of you, if you haven't drunk it already, you know who I'm looking at. Anyways, we have the Taffer's Brown Butter Bourbon in front of you. So first of all, just tell us a little bit about, because I don't think everybody knows the story of how this sort of came about.
Sure. I've now done 272 episodes of Bar Rescue over 13 years, which is unbelievable. But every episode has 5 cocktails in it. And how many old fashions can I do? So we're always trying to come up with new cocktails, new mixers, new ways to present alcohol and such. And I was in one of our kitchens, and my cook was making brown butter. And I walked through the kitchen. It smelled really good. I said, let me have that brown butter. And I took it, and I poured it in a sous vide plastic cooking bag. And then I filled it with whiskey. I sealed it, and I put it in boiling water for 4 hours. Took it out of the boiling water, put it in a walk-in refrigerator. The butter coagulated on top. I skimmed it off, poured it through, believe it or not, a coffee filter.
Yeah.
In a restaurant.
It works on
and it was cloudy, right? It wasn't certainly marketable because it was cloudy. Also, it was dairy, so it had no shelf life. It would have gone bad in a few days. But the flavor was unbelievable. So we put it in a cocktail called the Campfire Cocktail. And we started selling over 1,000 a month of these cocktails.
Nice.
So then we said, gee, we got to bottle this. This is really special. I've never had a reaction like this. And the mixologists are having fun, and it's very mixable. So I went to my friends at Diageo, and they let us work with their flavor house.
Okay.
And what we did is we took 2 bourbons. We had one with a higher rye content and one with a lower rye content. And we did a blend of those bourbons as we infused the brown butter flavoring to try to come up with the right blend. And unlike Screwball and some of the other products, we wanted an 80 proof, not a 70 proof product.
I think that's, well, we'll get into that, but I think that's
much more mixable that way. So, and then rather than using a Canadian whiskey, which a lot of these flavored products do, we wanted to use a real bourbon and do it as a nice
Americana.
Americana, you bet. So when we were finished, our purpose was to have it start with the bourbon and finish with the bourbon. Have it not be too sweet, and have you get a nice brown butter flavor profile as you go through the center of it. And that's the story of it. Now it's been out for about 1.5 years, and I'm proud to say the Martinetti guys told me that it's one of the most successful label launches in the history of Boston. So thank you, everybody. And
there you go. Thank you.
Really rewarding to see.
All right. Now the accolades come your way. Okay. So, I mean, I do a lot of stuff with bourbon, whiskey in general, right? And one of the things when I was originally shown the product, I'm like, oh, great, another celebrity product, and brown butter. Do I really need a brown butter bourbon? The whole deal. Go through the whole thing because it's a proliferation of.
Yep.
And my sort of deal behind any flavored whiskey is if you could have used vodka, then why bother using whiskey? And a lot of these products come out and you can't taste the whiskey.
Yep.
All right. So the whiskey's non-existent.
Especially with a 70 proof.
And at 70 proof, that's the other part of this too. And usually a lot of them are cloyingly sweet. So The guys, as a matter of fact, my salesman's here tonight. Bill's here tonight. Poured me some. I tried it. I go, you know what? I'll drink my words because the extra proof, the higher proof, cut down on some of the sweetness right away.
Yep.
All right. And then it wasn't overly sweet. And here's the key. I like things like this that you can still taste the whiskey. You could taste the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the things that happens over time with sort of anything, even like wine drinkers, a lot of people start with white Zinfandel, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a flavor in there, or you start with certain things. There's a flavor in there you sort of like, and you start gravitating to it. So as long as you can taste the whiskey, eventually I have you.
Yes.
Because you want that flavor. You want more of that flavor. So any way you can get people into the category, I think is a good way to get into the category.
Yeah. And we found women love it.
Yeah.
And its mixability. So out on the Cape this summer, they're making Mai Tais with it and pina coladas with it, which you'd never see typically with a bourbon. And it works very, very well. So when you get home, play with it. It's really fun. My mixologists have found, and I've got a bunch around me, as you know, from television, it mixes incredibly well with pineapple juice, of all things. So you can make some great festive kind of cocktails. It also makes a great old-fashioned, which we call gold-fashioned. So it's really a very mixable and fun product. I think that's why it's been so successful, that it is mixable. And by the way, I don't think this would have worked if it wasn't a bourbon. It needed to be a whiskey product to make it work.
You know, you want to put it on there. I mean, it's hot. Let's face it. Using the word bourbon, it's hot.
Yep.
But there's a reason it's hot. And you know, and we always talk about people with doing whiskey. The American palate. I mean, me and my buddy Randall always have this talk. The American palate was raised on sugary cereals, right? That's the first thing you have when you're a kid is sugary cereal. So in Europe, you know, Scotch is really popular. Why? There's really no sweetness in it at all.
Yep.
Right? But what do they have for breakfast? All their stuff for breakfast is all really savory.
Mm-hmm.
In the United States, it's all really sweet. So bourbon in itself is sort of one of the reasons that we sort of gravitate towards it, because we like that sort of sweet, that little bit of sweetness with it. You know, this takes it to another level, but in a good way.
I think so.
So
And you know, the first bourbon distiller in America, of course, was George Washington, who had a distillery at Mount Vernon and distilled. I think I read about 20,000 gallons a season he would distill there. So there's nothing more arrogant than this.
Well, his first. I'll give you a little bit more on that. His first distillery master was actually a Scot.
Really?
So Washington didn't know too much about it, but he had this Scotsman that worked for him and said, "Yeah, I can make whiskey."
And it was a good bourbon.
He did a lot of rye too. Rye was big too.
Yep.
So, and now we want to start talking. Which one is this one, guys? Which one are we getting first? Paper Plane. Oh, right, my favorite.
Great.
All right. So, what surprised me again about the product is its mixability, and I was always concerned that it was going to sort of overtake the cocktail, making the cocktail unbalanced.
Yes.
Right. So it's showing one way, and it doesn't really get a balanced cocktail. It's not good. Well, my Johnny on the spot, made for me 2 weeks ago. He made me a Paper Plane. Now, for those of you who don't know what Paper Plane is one of my favorite cocktails. I love this cocktail. And he made me a Paper Plane, and John substituted two things. Of course, he used your product, and he used the local Amaro made by the guys at Bully Boy. And he made this thing, and I go, John, I went, John, you used the Taffers, right? And he's like, yeah, I used it. I go, when you guys try this, try it, drink it up, have some of this, have some fun. But try this. This is a very, very good cocktail. And it shocked me that it was how good it was, how balanced it was.
It's also now becoming one of the most popular cocktails in the country now, the Paper Plane.
I believe that is because, John, that's one of my favorite cocktails, and I order it wherever I go. So I'm doing my part.
Nice balance to it.
Yeah.
You taste the brown butter. You get the bourbon.
You do. It's not overwhelming, and it's not. So who's had a Paper Plane? It's always fun to see what people are drinking. How is this as a Paper Plane? Do you like it? It's good, right? You didn't think so, though, did you? You were like, yeah, Brian, there's no way it's going to taste right. And I really thought that this was good. And that's it.
Well, the first time I came here, You had, before we really talked and everything, you were not that open-minded to it, because I think that flavored bourbons have turned you off before.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely.
watching you turn was very enjoyable to me.
He's like, I have him now. He is my puppet.
Yep.
Just so you guys know, each one of you, we'll try to get these up on the Facebook page, but each one of you has a card in front of you. It has the 3 cocktails that you're doing tonight, as well as a QR code that will take you to your page with all the cocktails on.
And we have a whole bunch of new winter cocktails on there as well. Our espresso martini, which you normally wouldn't make with a bourbon either, just in Forbes magazine won an award as one of the best espresso martinis in the country.
Nice.
In Forbes magazine. So when I say mix with it, step out of the box.
Is
Replace vodka with it and mix into some of these items. You'll find that it really creates a great flavor profile.
Well, is that because, okay, like certain flavors enhance other flavors? Okay,
the
so
brown
like,
butter in the coffee just
that's what I'm
nails
thinking.
it. Yeah.
Because it's almost more like a butterscotch.
Yes.
And it sort of enhances that. Like if you like peach, mango enhances peach. So those two flavors together go great because they enhance each other.
Did we have them smell this?
No, we did not. Did you do it?
Give it a little nose if you would.
They're like laughing now because they drank
They've already
all.
drank it, right?
Yeah, of course they did. Of course they did, John. You didn't expect them to have liquor in front of them and then just look at it.
But even with your nose, you still get the bourbon, don't you?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
The bourbon isn't lost by the flavor. That's that balance that was so difficult to create, to get it just right.
What was that? Because when you're putting this together and you're sitting there with the guys at Diageo and you're going through this thing, was that a sort of a difficult process to balance out so that the brown butter didn't overtake the bourbon or vice versa?
Yes, and that's why we use 2 mash bills of bourbon.
Okay.
We upped the rye a little bit, and it had a
spiciness
different.
in
Yep. And then we lowered it a little, and then we added the flavor, and we really had to find that balance between the 2 bourbons and the flavor.
That makes
and
sense.
we think we nailed it. It took quite a while to do, though. It was certainly not an overnight thing. It took months.
We're
get the
laughing
flavor
though.
just
This is recipe number 3.
Yes.
He's like, oh, it took us a while. Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3 was already the answer.
Yep.
Did you know when you hit? Did you know when you hit it, or did see like when I do like certain things, like I blend whiskey, right? I'll hit it, and I know I got it, but I always got to check my work.
Yeah.
So I go.
Confirmation is good.
Right. So I go a little bit this way, a little bit that way, just to make sure. Yeah, I did nail it.
Yeah, we do the same thing.
Okay.
You move the needle because you got to find that sweet spot.
You want to make sure you got it.
Yes. And then, of course, there's a lot of friends in the industry that I had tasted and give me feedback as well. I had a lot of my mixologists play with it. I had some, I specifically involved some what I'll call bourbon snobs who typically wouldn't touch a product like this, and I forced them to try it. And so I got everybody who I thought wouldn't like it to taste it. And what I found was if I could win them over, then I could certainly win over those who are more open-minded.
Well, that is the point. I mean, like I said, I really usually don't have a problem with things as long as like again you could taste the bourbon, and that was one of the things. I could smell it and I could taste it, and the alcohol content was higher.
Yep.
All right, we got the next one going out. Almost okay. Listen, John has to leave at a certain time. I want to make sure we get through everything.
Any questions? Anybody want to fire a question? Can we do that, Ron?
Yeah, absolutely. And just so you guys
Even
know,
bar rescue, whatever you guys, if anybody has any questions about anything.
I will repeat the question so that people on Facebook can hear it, and then when we get it on the thing. The guy in the back that wants to ask the question has got to come all the way to the front. Because we got like 70 people here tonight. It's a madhouse.
You guys are too quiet.
By the way, do you notice how red he got? He's got to make him come to the front of the classroom. Yeah, you've been waiting. All right, what's your question, sir? What is your favorite bourbon, John?
You know,
and then the follow-up is why.
Yeah, there's a bourbon that is made in Fallon, Nevada right now that is not quite yet available here. Okay. That is called Frey Ranch Bourbon. And I happen to know it's a farmer, it's a whiskey farm, 2,500 acres. And we looked at the way they're making their bourbon there. It's completely ground to glass. And they have a quad bourbon that'll be available in this state very shortly. That's my current favorite. And unfortunately, I'm mentioning something that's not available here. Woodford, of course, is great. And there's a number like that I love very, very much. But keep your eyes open for Frey Ranch. It just won an award. It's won 27 gold medals, 7 doubles, and is a very, very special product. I think you can get it online.
The other part of that, too, since you asked that question, There's a new company that just started. It's called Lost Lantern. They're going to be here November 2nd for our whiskey festival. Lost Lantern, they're basically doing, they're like an independent bottler for U.S. whiskeys. So in Europe, this is really popular to do in Scotland. We're just sort of getting to it here in the United States. There's a couple companies popping up. They have a Frey Ranch one, and it's excellent, and we're going to be having it. So we won't
Great.
be able to get the main label, but we'll be able to get somebody that did one that's actually quite good.
Excellent. Yeah,
And
really
thank you
special.
for your question. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. That's a good question.
Yeah. Any others? Sure.
Yes, I'm going to have you come up. Makes it easier. She's coming up and she goes, don't forget to put my drink down right where I was. I was right here, and when I come
Don't
back,
touch
there better
my
be a
drink
drink.
when I'm
Yes.
gone. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you
yeah.
don't
We're
trust
selling the
him,
hus-
do you?
All right. So
Oh, okay.
what's your question?
But you steal his French fries, I bet. Okay, so it's a two-sided street.
John, you just ruined her little secret. Ah,
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank
all
you.
right. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh, okay. Let me just repeat the
So
question
we-
just
Oh,
before you
I'm sorry.
start. Yeah, she wants to know: are you going to expand to any other besides bourbon of different alcohols or different products?
yes, we've actually have ownership of the brown butter flavor. So we're looking at infusing the brown butter flavor possibly into a rum, or we're playing with some other product ideas with it
Okay.
as well.
Yeah.
But probably not in the bourbon category. Doesn't that
Yeah,
sound
rum.
good? Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, rum.
My pleasure.
Rum. Rum is one of those ancillary products, that they always was looking to get hot, had never got as hot as bourbon
Yep.
got.
Yep.
But it is creeping up, and it's not a bad category, and it
Yeah.
plays well with flavors.
It sure does.
So
And-
that's not a bad
in that
idea.
tropical environment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the next one we have here is going to be the apple cider Collins.
This is one of my favorites. We found that apple cider and apple flavor goes really, really well with brown butter. Almost has an apple pie kind of flavor to it.
I got to tell you, there's not many things that don't go well with butter.
It's true.
Sure, but some of the best restaurants you go into, they make a steak. They use butter, right?
absolutely.
I mean, there's it has that flavor enhancing property that we just talked about.
We have a number of chefs in Las Vegas. They make bread pudding with it. They've marinated steaks with it. Michael Mina marinated a steak with it. They actually did a rigatoni with it in sort of a brown butter bourbon cream sauce, which was delicious. So play with it in the kitchen as well. You'll find that you can have a lot of fun with it.
May I just say, so you get a lot of PSLs out there, pumpkin spice latte. So I just want to say the true autumnal flavor is apple. And in this case, it's butter and apple.
Yeah.
So stop drinking things that, first of all, have no pumpkin in them. It's all about the spice. And welcome to butter. It's much better.
Yeah.
Butter's better.
It is. Butter
All
is
right.
better.
Butter is better.
And
All
butter always classes something up, right?
That's right. My arteries usually, but yes. Now, what do you think? What do you guys think of the cider? This is really good. I like this one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of simple. I mean, if you look at the recipe for this, it's not really that complicated, right? I'm a lazy bartender, John. I'm a lazy. If I can't mix it in 2 minutes, I do not want to be bothered with it.
Yeah.
And I'm also looking for things that I can batch when we have like friends over or we have a football tailgating or something like that.
Yep.
I'm looking for something that I can do a batch of. I can make a lot of it at once. Everybody's satisfied throughout the entire evening.
So I got a great party idea for you.
Oh, great. Oh, that's what I'm looking for.
Smorgasbord.
A smorgasbord.
You set up a table in your house with a bunch of product, a bunch of mixers, some shake, and you go make your own cocktails. So what we did is we found that people had a great time shaking and being creative, and the smorgasbord becomes the centerpiece of the party. I'm tasting yours, you're tasting mine,
Right.
and everybody's making cocktails. It's a nice, fun way to have a cocktail party.
And I could get a lot of cocktails without making any.
Absolutely.
I like
Get
your
it,
idea,
get it for
John.
you, Ryan.
I like it. I like it. This is like Tom Sawyer painting the fence.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, sure. Do you want to try this? Okay, great. Here you go. And then I just drink all the rest of the day. I like it.
There you go.
I like it. I'm in. All right. So we always talk about seasonal creep. Okay.
Yes.
So we talked about pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice now comes out in July 4th. Because that's when I'm thinking about pumpkin spice, right? July 4th. You know, Christmas decorations are already out at like Lowe's.
Oh, Santa's already in overtime.
Yeah, yeah. It's insane. I walked into a place the other day, and on one side there's Halloween and the other side there's Christmas. I'm just waiting to walk in the middle and some war break out on the thing. But there is seasonal creep. So the next one, we're getting you ready. We're getting you ready for the holidays already. So you got your apple cider Collins, which we just had. This is going to create autumnal flavor that you can have. The next one is a Jingle Bell Punch. All right. I like the color on it.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Nice and light.
That's good too. That's good too. This one, the brown butter comes out a little bit more in this one too.
Yeah. So it's a nice balance to it, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. You know what? And by the way, I got to tell you, like some of the things, like this is why I love mixologists, because I'm not this bright. But like I would never think of putting brown buttered bourbon with cranberry. To me in my head, it does. The flavors might not go.
Yeah,
but it does.
It does.
It does.
We were playing with cranberry juice and brown butter, and there was one other ingredient. And son of a gun, Ryan, it tastes like cheesecake. And you wouldn't have expected that at all. But it's fun to play with some of these flavors. When we mixed it, believe it or not, with Diet Dr. Pepper, people went crazy over it. And you wouldn't think the flavor profile. Try it. Everybody loves it with Dr. Pepper and Diet Dr. Pepper.
Can you do? Okay, so here I'm going to ask you this question. You did Diet Dr. Pepper. Does it work with regular Dr. Pepper?
Yes.
Okay, because sometimes they don't.
Yep.
They don't work.
Yep.
It's
a little lighter with the diet.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I make a drink. It's an old New England drink. Some of you may have heard of it. It's rye and Moxie. You ever had Moxie?
No.
Oh, so the uninitiated, I like it. We're gonna get you some.
Okay.
So Moxie is basically, a friend of mine put it in a great way. Moxie is basically a carbonated Amaro.
Okay.
Think of like the herbal Italian sodas. On that, it's on that sort of thing. It's been around forever. It's like a cure-all. They have a festival about it in Maine. But rye and Moxie go very well together instead of an old New England recipe. And you're like, oh my God. And people go like, but doesn't Moxie taste like desperation and battery acid? And yes, it does. But when you add rye to it, it changes it. It just works. It also goes with Bacardi 151. There's a lady that's letting herself on fire. They don't make that anymore, you know. Bacardi 151 is gone. But
when we used to be in the bar business, we used to make these drinks called green lizards. And they were half 151 rum and half green chartreuse, which at the time was 110 proof.
Yeah.
And when a woman would take a
either way.
shot of a green lizard, the guy sitting next to her got much better looking by the minute. Nobody was alone in the bar at the end of that night.
Yeah, they were passed out. They didn't leave the bar. That's when 151 is one of those ones you can't get anymore.
Yeah.
There's a couple other nice rums that you can get at 151 though. And that's such an odd thing for me to say. 150, there's some nice rums at 150. It's 151 proof, by the way. That'll curl your toes.
Not exactly smooth, yes.
As we say, takes your breath
So
away.
do you like the product?
What do you think of the last one? Do you like that? Would you make that for the holidays? You would. All right. How many bottles should I put you down for? 5 bottles. Okay, good. I like the way you think. Half dozen though would get you a discount. Cooking and drinking a little, as Julia Childs used to say, a little for the sauce, a little for the chef. All right. There you go.
Another recipe that's delicious as we're getting to the holidays is turkey stuffing with a little brown butter bourbon in it. That sound good?
See, you got me like the pudding and stuff, the bread pudding and stuff. That's a definite. That's like a no-brainer.
Stuffing was really good.
No-brainer.
Yeah, stuffing was really good.
All right. we're just listen. We want to be able to get you guys to get like a picture with John and get the product and stuff like that. Like I said, John's going to get out of here in a little while. So first of all, I want to say thank you again for coming.
Oh,
I really
thank you.
do
Thank
appreciate
you all for coming. You know, I always say on television, you get to see me, but I never get to see you.
There you go.
So coming to events like this and being able to look in your eyes and talk with all of you is really wonderful for me. So I thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it very much.
As a special bonus, John will be coming to your house and yelling at you how dirty your kitchen is. So be prepared for that.
Or I'll yell at your kids. It's
Either way, still good. John, thanks you so much again. Thank you. I really always appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, we have all the stuff. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. You can look at this on Facebook. You can also get it wherever you get your podcasts, such as Spotify. Look for It's the Liquor Talking. And thank you, John. And we'll stop this right now. You should have been here. It was awesome.